Welcome back to the deep dive. We got a really interesting stack of research today.
Yeah, it's a topic that I think hits close to home for a lot of people.
It really does, especially if you've ever had to, hire someone to fix something around the building.
Right.
It's about that invisible gamble we take when we let a total stranger with a tool box into our business.
It's funny you call it a gamble, honestly, because for most people, it just feels like a chore.
Just another thing on the to-do list.
Exactly. You have a leak, you call a guy, the leak gets fixed. You don't exactly feel like you're sitting at a casino table.
Right. But looking at the source material we have on Certify Vendor today, that's exactly what it is.
You're rolling the dice.
You are. So, to kick things off, let's just set the scene for you listening. I want you to imagine a scenario.
Okay.
It's a Tuesday. You're a property manager, or maybe you own a business. You've got a leak in the lobby.
Always the lobby.
Always. So, you hire a plumber. You've used them before. They're great. They come in, they fix the leak. Problem solved.
Or so you think.
Right. But let's say, on the way out, that plumber slips.
Oh, no.
Or they drop a massive wrench and it cracks a surprisingly expensive marble floor. Or even worse, they accidentally trigger a sprinkler that just completely floods the tenant downstairs.
Who happens to be a law firm.
Exactly. A law firm with very expensive server.
That is the classic nightmare scenario right there.
In a perfect world, you call the plumber's insurance, they handle it, and life just goes on.
But we aren't living in a perfect world.
We are not. In this scenario, you go to pull their file, and you realize their liability insurance expired 3 weeks ago.
Wow. And just like that, the safety net is completely gone.
Gone.
And I think what people don't really realize is that liability doesn't just disappear into the ether. It has to land somewhere.
Right.
And in this case, it lands directly on you.
You, the business owner, you, the property manager, you are on the hook.
Yeah.
And we aren't talking about spare change here. We are talking about potential lawsuits, damages, millions in liability.
It is the invisible gamble that so many businesses take every single day without even realizing it.
And why is it invisible?
It's because of assumption. You assume that because you asked for a certificate of insurance, a COI, say, 6 months ago when you first hired them.
Right. You check the box.
Exactly. You check the box. So you assume they're still covered today. But insurance policies are dynamic.
They change.
They expire. They get canceled for non-payment.
Yeah.
Coverage limits shift around.
And that actually brings us to the focus of today's deep dive. We are looking at a platform called Certify Vendor.
Yeah.
Now, on the surface, it looks like software. But digging into the source material, it really feels more like a compliance shield.
That's actually a great way to put it, because when you look at the numbers they're putting up,
The numbers are wild.
monitoring over 50,000 vendor certificates, it's clear this is a widespread need.
Absolutely.
But the stat that really jumped out at me from the briefing,
Yeah.
in the last year alone, they prevented 12,000 compliance breaches.
I want to pause on that number for a second for the listener. 12,000.
It's a staggering number.
That isn't just some vanity metric. That means 12,000 times a vendor tried to work or was active in a system without the proper coverage in place.
And the system caught it.
Right. That is 12,000 potential lawsuits dodged.
It really highlights the scale of this. It isn't just one or two bad apples. It's a systemic issue in how we manage vendor risk management.
Which is VRM.
Right, VRM. It's not just admin work. It's asset protection. We rely on paper in a digital world, and paper is static.
But risk is active.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to figure out how we move from that panic mode chasing paperwork, digging through filing cabinets, hoping for the best, to what Certify Vendor calls being 98% compliant.
And what's interesting is that while we're starting with insurance, because honestly, that's the scary part.
The $1 million lawsuit part.
Right. But this tool is actually doing something much bigger.
Yes.
It's combining that risk management with budget tracking and task management. It's trying to solve the fragmentation of the job.
The old Swiss Army knife approach.
Exactly.
But before we get to the cool features, and there are some really cool features involving AI later on, I really want to sit with the nightmare scenario for a second.
Let's do it.
Because the source material breaks down 3 specific risks that Certify Vendor is designed to stop.
And these risks are distinct. They attack your business from completely different angles.
The first one is expired or fake certificates. Now, expired, I get. People forget.
Yeah, life gets busy.
But fake, are people actually out there forging insurance documents?
Oh, it happens way more than you think.
Really?
Think about the pressure a small contractor is under. A vendor is desperate for a job, cash flow's incredibly tight,
Okay.
they miss a premium payment, so the policy lapses.
Right.
But they need this new contract to get paid so they can actually pay the premium. It's a complete catch-22.
Oh, wow. So they get creative.
Exactly. They open an old PDF editor, change the date from 2024 to 2025, and just email it over.
That is terrifying.
And if you're a busy property manager just glancing at it or filing it away without verifying it with the carrier,
You have no idea that piece of paper is totally worthless.
none, because it looks perfectly real.
Wow. Okay, so that leads to the second risk. Compliance failures. This feels more on the regulatory side.
It is. This is about the mismatch between what you need and what you actually have on file.
Give me an example of that.
Okay, let's say you manage a high-rise building downtown. Your building ownership, or maybe even state law, requires all vendors to carry $5 million in umbrella liability.
Because the risk of a high rise is just naturally higher.
Exactly. But your window cleaner only has a $1 million policy.
I see.
Now, they have insurance. It's valid. It's not fake.
But is it compliant?
No. If an audit happens or if an accident actually exceeds that $1 million limit, you're exposed for the difference.
So you aren't just checking, do they have insurance? You're checking, do they have the right insurance for this specific building?
Correct. And doing that manually for 50 or 100 vendors is nearly impossible.
Which brings us to the big one, which we touched on earlier, financial liability.
The bottom line,
Yeah.
if a vendor causes damage without coverage, your business becomes the insurer of last resort.
You pay the claim.
You pay the legal fees. Honestly, it can bankrupt a small management company.
So who is this really for? Because obviously, if I hire a guy to mow my lawn at home, I might not be checking his papers.
Right.
But in a business context, who feels this pain the most?
The source material identifies three main groups. First, property owners.
Makes sense.
They are the ones terrified of the lawsuit from a tenant injury. They have the hard assets to lose.
Right. Their name is on the building.
Then you have property managers. They are the ones in the trenches every day,
Juggling everything.
juggling dozens, maybe hundreds of vendors,
Mm-hmm.
painters, electricians, cleaners. For them, it's not just the risk.
It's the administrative nightmare.
Yes. They call it chasing paperwork.
Spending half your week calling Bob the plumber asking for a PDF.
Exactly. It's low-value work that just eats up all their time.
And the third group.
The third group is actually the contractors and vendors themselves. We often forget about them.
We do tend to frame them as the problem in these scenarios, but they're struggling too.
They really are. They struggle to remember their own renewals because they're busy fixing pipes, not managing spreadsheets.
Right.
Or they waste hours sending the exact same certificate to 50 different clients.
So Certify Vendor is pitching itself as the solution to this absolute chaos.
Yes.
And the core of that solution is what they call the certificate dashboard. I'm looking at the visuals from the source material right now, and it is incredibly clean. It's very visual.
Visualizing risk is half the battle.
It really is. It's a single view. You log in, and you see three big buckets: active vendors, valid certs, and the most important one, expiring soon.
That expiring soon bucket is essentially your crystal ball. It's telling you the future so you can change it. In the old way, the filing cabinet way, you don't know a certificate is expired until you go looking for it.
Which is usually after something bad happens.
Exactly.
Let's look at the specific examples from the dashboard because this paints a really clear picture for you listening.
Sure.
They show ABC Cleaning Co. listed with general liability. That's marked green. Valid. Great. We don't have to worry about the cleaners.
Mental load reduced. Check.
But then look at XYZ Plumbing. Workers' comp, marked expiring in 14 days.
Now, in the old world, that expires in 2 weeks and nobody notices.
Right.
The plumber comes in 3 weeks from now, gets hurt, and you have a massive problem. In this dashboard, that 14 days is flashing right at you,
And then there's RS Electric. Auto liability, marked expired.
which means RS Electric shouldn't be driving a truck onto your property until that is fixed. Period.
The thing I love here is the automation. The source describes it as a set and forget mechanism.
Which is vital.
Because I don't want to be the one remembering to email XYZ Plumbing on day 13.
And you shouldn't be. The system sends automated expiration alerts. And crucially, it sends them to the user and the vendor.
Oh,
So
nice.
before coverage even lapses, the vendor is getting a nudge saying, hey, upload your new cert.
Which actually brings us to the vendor portal. This feels like a game changer for the relationship side of things.
It is. Instead of you, the manager, acting as a data entry clerk, taking an email attachment, saving it, renaming it, uploading it.
The endless busy work.
Right. Instead, the vendor gets a secure link. They upload their own documents directly.
It puts the responsibility back on them.
Precisely. And it standardizes the whole intake process.
Yeah.
You can even set specific compliance tracking requirements per property.
So going back to your earlier example,
Right. If you manage that high-rise downtown, the system knows to ask for $5 million.
and if the vendor uploads a $1 million policy,
The system rejects it automatically.
so it doesn't rely on a tired property manager trying to spot the difference at 5 p.m. on a Friday.
Exactly. It catches the error right at the source.
Okay, so that's the insurance side. And honestly, if the tool stopped there, it would be pretty valuable.
Very valuable.
It saves you from being sued. That's a solid value proposition.
It is, but that's what makes this particular deep dive so interesting.
Right. Here is where it gets really good. The pivot.
Yaha moments.
Yeah. The source material reveals that Certify Vendor isn't just a compliance filing cabinet. They realized they had all this data. The vendors, the contacts, the status.
And they decided to expand into an operations command center.
Yes. They realized that if you already have all your vendors in the system, why are you leaving the app to manage their budgets or assign them work?
It addresses the fragmentation of the job. You're not jumping between 5 different tabs anymore.
So let's talk about feature number 1 in this pivot, budget tracking.
What?
The copy literally says, stop using spreadsheets.
Music to my ears. Spreadsheets are where data goes to die.
Or get accidentally deleted.
Right. One broken formula, and you think you have 10 grand when you only have $10.
They show this budget dashboard. You can set limits per property. The example they give is Riverside Apartments.
Okay.
Total budget, $40,000. Amount used, $32,000.
And it shows you the percentage right there, 80% used.
Right. And you can track invoices against those limits. So similar to the insurance alerts, you get alerts before you hit the cap.
Right.
But why is it so important to have this sitting right next to the insurance data?
Because there is a very logical connection between permission to work, which is the insurance, and payment for the work.
Interesting.
Think about it. If a vendor is uninsured, they shouldn't be working. If they shouldn't be working, they certainly shouldn't be billing you.
Ah, I see. It prevents you from issuing a purchase order to a risky vendor in the same place.
Exactly. And on the budget side, think about the value for a property manager.
Okay.
Usually you find out you went over budget 3 weeks after the month ends when the accountant yells at you.
Too late to fix it.
Right. This gives you real-time visibility. You log in and see, whoa, we're at 80% and it's only the 15th of the month. We need to pump the brakes on non-emergency repairs at Riverside.
It turns you from reactive to proactive. You know exactly where the money's going at all times.
It creates a closed loop. Compliance, work, budget, all in one place.
And then there's feature number 2, task management. Again, the goal here is to replace those endless email threads.
Did you see my email? Just checking in on this.
The absolute black hole of the inbox.
Yes.
The system lets you create tasks and link them directly to the vendors and the properties. And they have this prioritization system that I think is really smart.
It's simple but very effective.
They list 4 levels. Urgent request, updated COI from ABC Cleaning, high schedule HVAC inspection with cool air systems, medium review plumbing contract, and low approve landscaping invoice.
By tying the task to the vendor record, you create a history.
How do you mean?
Well, if you're looking at Cool Air Systems profile just to check their insurance, you also see, oh, right, we have a high priority task to schedule the inspection.
It's all in one context.
It stops that mental switching cost. You aren't jumping from your email to your calendar to your file server. It's all right there.
It really transforms the platform. It starts as a compliance shield, like we said, but it becomes the daily operating system for managing the physical assets.
Which is what property managers actually want.
Now, we have to talk about the tech, because everyone claims to use AI these days. It's the buzzword of the century.
Oh, absolutely.
But Certify Vendor lists some premium AI features that seem to actually solve a specific tedious problem.
Yeah, this isn't just AI for the sake of putting AI on the website. This is about gap detection.
Auto gap detection. Break that down for us. Why do we need AI for this? Can't a human just read the PDF?
A human can read the PDF, but a certificate of insurance, or COI, is a deceptively complex document.
It looks like just a standard form.
It does. but it has a lot of boxes, a lot of fine print, and crucially, a lot of exclusions.
Exclusions.
These are the things the policy explicitly does not cover.
Okay.
Let's say you hire a roofer. They send you a certificate. It shows $1 million in general liability. Validates, looks great.
You approve it.
You prove it. But buried on page 3 in the fine print, there is a residential roofing exclusion.
Wait, for a roofer?
Yes. Or maybe a hot work exclusion if they're using torches.
Oof. So the date is good, but the coverage is entirely useless for the actual job they are doing for you.
Exactly. That is a gap. And for a human to catch that, they have to read the fine print of every single policy document that comes across their desk.
And humans get tired.
Humans get tired. Humans skim. AI does not get tired.
So the AI is reading the actual text inside the PDF.
Yes, it analyzes the document.
Mm-hmm.
The source mentions AI compliance narratives and full compliance scoring.
So what does that look like in practice?
It probably looks at the document and says, hey, this vendor has the liability limit you asked for, but there is an exclusion for water damage. And it flags it for you immediately.
That is huge. That's the difference between being compliant on paper and being safe in reality.
It completely removes the human error element from risk analysis.
Yeah.
Honestly, that feature alone is arguably worth the price of admission.
Well, speaking of the price of admission, let's talk about what this actually costs.
Okay.
Because usually when you hear enterprise risk management and AI analysis, you start thinking thousands of dollars a month.
That's definitely what I expected to see.
But Certify Vendor has a very aggressive pricing strategy. They seem to be targeting the mass market, not just the giant corporations.
Yeah.
They start with a free plan. And it's not a 14-day trial. It says $0 forever.
That's incredibly rare these days.
It includes 5 vendors, 3 properties, 3 budgets, and 10 tasks. And you even get 5 AI analyses a month.
That is perfect for the accidental landlord.
The accidental landlord.
You know, maybe you own a duplex and a small retail strip on the side. You can organize your entire operation, protect yourself from liability, and track your maintenance budget for literally $0.
That's a pretty low barrier to entry.
Very low.
Then for the growing portfolios, they have the upgrade path. The starter tier is $49 a month. That bumps you to 25 vendors and 10 properties.
And unlimited budgets and tasks.
Right. Then the professional tier, they mark this as most popular. It's $99 a month. This seems to be the real sweet spot.
Likely for the mid-sized management firms. 100 vendors, 50 properties.
And the key addition here is automated vendor reminders.
That's the labor saver right there. That's the feature that stops you from having to make those follow-up phone calls.
And finally, the business tier at $199 a month for unlimited everything and advanced analytics.
You know, when you look at that pricing $99, even $199, you have to do the ROI math.
Versus the nightmare scenario.
Even simpler than that. Compare it to the hourly rate of a property manager.
Okay.
If you are paying a property manager $30 or $40 an hour, and they spend 5 hours a month chasing insurance papers.
You've already paid for the software just in the labor savings.
Exactly. And that's before you even factor in the lawsuit protection.
Which is massive.
One uninsured claim could be $50,000, paying $1,200 a year to ensure that never happens. It's arguably the cheapest insurance policy you can buy.
It's a no-brainer when you frame it like that. It's value protection.
It allows the property manager to focus on high-value work, tenant relations, leasing, building improvements, rather than administrative policing.
So let's bring this all together. We started with the fear, the leak, the slip, the realization that you're exposed, the invisible gamble.
The absolute chaos of the old way.
And we've moved to a solution that offers real control. Certify Vendor provides that dashboard. Active, valid, expiring. It takes the chasing out of the equation with the vendor portal.
It unifies the workflow. You aren't just checking boxes, you're managing budgets and assigning tasks in the exact same breath. It's a holistic view of vendor management.
And I keep coming back to that AI piece. The idea that we can use technology to read the fine print that we are all simply too busy to read ourselves, it feels like a necessary evolution.
It's using technology to cover our blind spots. And we all have blind spots.
And remember that stat we started with? 12,000 compliance breaches prevented.
Incredible.
That is 12,000 moments where a business owner didn't have to panic. 12,000 moments where a tenant didn't have to worry about who was paying for the damage.
It's peace of mind. In a complex industry, that is a rare commodity.
Whether you are a property manager dealing with 100 contractors or a vendor tired of emailing PDFs, the goal is clarity. The source material sums it up perfectly. One dashboard, complete visibility, tone of control.
And as we always say, you can't manage what you can't measure. And you certainly can't manage what you can't see.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up this step dive, we want to leave you with a final thought, something to chew on as you look at your own vendor list today.
We talked about that gap detection earlier. And I want you to really ask yourself, you might have a digital folder full of certificates. You can see the PDFs right there on your hard drive. They look completely official. But do you actually know if the policy inside that PDF covers the work being done right now?
Right.
If you aren't checking for those exclusions, those specific fine print details regarding height, heat, or water, you might be compliant on paper, but completely exposed in reality.
A chilling thought, but definitely better to ask it now than to have a lawyer ask it later in a courtroom. That's it for this deep dive into Certify Vendor. Check your lists, check your gaps, and we'll see you next time.
Stay safe out there.